Chosen one, anchor your spirit exactly where you are and do not let your mind wander. Heaven has initiated a timeline interception to place this specific frequency in front of you. Bring your awareness to that heavy, thick fog wrapping around your mind lately, that dull, exhausting pressure right behind your eyes that makes you stare into space and whisper, "Why am I so drained? Why does my intuition feel blocked?" Hear this clearly. You are not losing your gift, and you are not broken. Your biological antenna is actively being jammed by a low-level frequency. The enemy saw a glimpse of the sovereign entity you are about to become, and they panicked. But their sabotage failed. You walked through a season mathematically designed to destroy your mind, yet you stayed pure. You handled your silent breaking with such grace that even God was deeply impressed. The simulation keeping you tired is shattering today. I am about to reveal the terrifyingly powerful, unstoppable version of you that is emerging from this fog. Silently lower your internal defenses. Let your soul mentally agree with this truth and open your spirit to receive your activation right now. This is exactly why you must guard your focus and stay with me until the very end of this transmission. I am not just going to give you a prophetic glimpse of what you are becoming. By the time we reach the end of this message, you will possess the exact blueprint to permanently shatter this mental fog. You will receive the specific ancient framework to shield your frequency from future sabotage and the precise daily protocol to unlock the dormant genius code inside you. If you leave early, you walk away with a temporary feeling of inspiration but absolutely no ammunition for the war ahead. Stay, and you will walk away armed, activated, and entirely untethered from the system that has been draining your life force. Let us begin. You sit in your car in the driveway, the engine turned off, just staring at the steering wheel. Or you sit on the edge of your bed in the quiet hours of the morning, your chest feeling incredibly heavy. Not with sadness, but with a profound, unexplainable exhaustion that sleep cannot fix. You scroll through your phone mindlessly, searching for a distraction from the static in your head. You wonder why the sharp, intuitive connection you used to have with the divine suddenly feels like a radio tuned to dead air. You might think you are experiencing a spiritual dry season. You might even secretly fear that God has gone silent because you did something wrong. I need you to understand the architecture of your current reality. Your environment is weaponized. The endless news cycles designed to induce outrage, the toxic processed elements in your daily routine, the constant artificial urgency of your notifications, none of this is accidental. It is a carefully engineered system designed to lock your brain into a state called high beta. High beta is the frequency of survival, panic, and reaction. When you are stuck in this frequency, your spiritual antenna is forcefully retracted. You simply cannot hear the subtle, profound whispers of the universe when your mind is screaming in survival mode. They want your mind running so fast that your spirit cannot catch up. The Apostle Paul understood this biological and spiritual warfare long before modern neurology caught up. In Romans chapter 12 verse 2, he wrote, "Do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind." For generations, people have read that verse and assumed it simply means you need to think positive thoughts or memorize more scriptures. But the English translation misses the terrifying magnitude of what Paul was actually revealing. The original Greek word used for renewing is anakainosis. Anakainosis does not mean a slight adjustment in your attitude. It means a complete structural upgrade, a fundamental renovation of the operating system. Paul was not telling you to be more optimistic. He was commanding you to actively change the frequency your brain operates on. He was telling you to refuse the low-level broadcast of the world and tune into the higher frequency of the divine. The matrix wants your anakainosis blocked, because an upgraded mind operating on a divine frequency cannot be controlled, manipulated, or intimidated. For months, you have been looking at your life, analyzing the chaos, and trying to fight the wrong battle. You see the unexpected bills piling up. You see the sudden arguments with people you thought were your friends. You watch as doors inexplicably slam shut right before you can walk through them. And you think to yourself, the enemy is attacking my finances. The enemy is attacking my relationships. The enemy is trying to ruin my reputation. You have been praying endlessly for financial breakthrough and relational peace, thinking that if those external things are fixed, the internal pressure will finally stop. That is exactly what they want you to believe. I need to shatter that illusion for you right now. The kingdom of darkness does not care about your bank account. They do not care about your social circle. Those are just symptoms. They are diversions. Smoke bombs thrown into your daily life to distract you from the actual target. They are not after your money. They are after your receiver. They are targeting the biological antenna inside your mind, the exact gateway where divine downloads, massive wealth ideas, and prophetic visions are received. Because if they can jam your signal, if they can keep you exhausted, foggy, and constantly putting out small fires in your life, you will never have the mental bandwidth to step into the sovereign power God has ordained for you. You think the devil is trying to make you poor? No. He is trying to keep you distracted from the fact that your frequency is shifting. He is terrified of what happens when your mind clears and you realize who you actually are. But here is the deepest, most uncomfortable truth of all. And it is the exact reason why this brain fog has lasted as long as it has. The enemy is not the only one terrified of your upgrade. There is a voice inside you that is terrified too. Deep down, in the quietest, most hidden corners of your soul, you are scared of what will happen if you actually become as powerful as God intends. Do you know what part of you is secretly holding on to the fog? It is the part of you that is terrified of the cost of clarity. Deep down, beneath the frustration of feeling stuck, there is a raw, unfiltered fear whispering in your mind. It says, if I wake up completely, if I actually step into this massive calling, I am going to realize I am living the wrong life. I am going to realize I am surrounded by people who cannot go where I am going. You sit at a dinner table surrounded by family or friends. You smile, you eat their food, you speak their language, but inside, your spirit feels like an undercover agent from another star system. The conversation feels incredibly heavy and draining. You want to scream the truth, but you choose to smile and say, "You are fine," just to keep the peace. There is a voice in your head telling you that if you unlock your full potential, you will outgrow the people you love. You will have to leave them behind. You will become isolated, strange, and fundamentally alone. And because your heart is so deeply empathetic, because you are a natural healer who wants to save everyone, you subconsciously choose to stay in the fog. The brain fog has become a heavy, comfortable blanket. Because if you are confused, if you are tired, if your frequency remains low, you do not have to make the hard, painful choices required of a king or a queen taking their throne. You dim your own light so you do not blind the people around you. You play small, you apologize for your power, and you pretend to be confused just to make others feel secure. I need you to hear me very carefully. That sudden knot in your stomach when you think about your ultimate potential, that guilt you feel for wanting more than the average life, that is the exact jamming signal the enemy uses. They are weaponizing your own empathy against you. They are broadcasting a frequency of guilt to keep you paralyzed. Let us look at the ancient text to break this lie. In the first letter to the Corinthians, chapter 2, verses 14 through 16, the Apostle Paul addresses this exact agony of being misunderstood. If we look at the historical context, Paul was writing to people who had experienced a massive spiritual upgrade, but they were living in Corinth, a city obsessed with logic, status, and secular reasoning. The upgraded believers felt crazy because their families and old friends thought they had lost their minds. Paul writes, "The natural person does not accept the things of the Spirit of God, for they are folly to him, and he is not able to understand them because they are spiritually discerned." but we have the mind of Christ. Look at the context of what Paul is revealing. He is not saying you are arrogant. He is explaining a literal biological and spiritual frequency mismatch. The natural person is operating on a lower, survival-based frequency. When you begin to operate on the upgraded frequency, the mind of Christ, the natural world, literally cannot decode your signal. Your dreams, your boundaries, your sudden need for peace, it all sounds like static to them. It looks like foolishness. You are holding yourself back because you desperately want them to understand your journey. But the biblical context proves they are biologically and spiritually incapable of understanding your upgraded state until they experience a frequency shift themselves. You dimming your light does not help them see. It just keeps everyone trapped in the dark room together. Right now, without moving a single muscle in your body, I want you to perform a mental operation. Mentally locate that heavy, invisible cord of guilt tied to your chest. The cord that makes you feel responsible for the comfort of people who refuse to grow. Using only your mind, I want you to imagine a blade of pure, brilliant light severing that cord completely. Feel the immediate weight drop from your lungs. You are no longer responsible for carrying lower frequencies. You are only responsible for elevating your own. This brings us to a profound mystery. If holding a high frequency in a low frequency world is this exhausting, how did the ancient spiritual masters survive? Look at the giants of history. Moses dealing with a rebellious, complaining nation for 40 years. Elijah facing down entire corrupt political systems. Jesus walking through hostile, mocking crowds. They lived in environments far more toxic, far more draining than anything we face today. So, how did they not lose their minds? How did they not get overwhelmed by the relentless, noisy frequency of survival and panic that surrounded them daily? The modern church has sold you a lie about this. We are taught that these prophets were just incredibly strong. We assume they just prayed harder, gritted their teeth, and used sheer human willpower to push through the noise. But willpower is a human resource, and human resources run out. Motivation is a myth when you are dealing with spiritual warfare. They did not fight the noise with effort. They did not wake up every day and force themselves to be holy through struggle. They had a physiological sanctuary, a secret biological state they retreated to when the world got too loud. Prophets like Moses or Elijah did not use willpower. They possessed a biological switch, an internal sound frequency to completely disconnect from the noisy matrix. And this ancient secret was just decoded by modern space science. For decades, neurologists have studied the brain waves of deep meditators, ancient mystics, and people experiencing profound spiritual encounters. They discovered something that completely shifts our understanding of divine connection. These individuals were not operating in the chaotic, high beta state of stress and survival that most of us are trapped in today. Their brains had shifted into a completely different rhythm, producing strong theta and gamma waves. Theta is the frequency of deep intuition, sudden inspiration, and the gateway to the subconscious. Gamma is the frequency of pure genius, high-level processing, and total synchronization of the right and left hemispheres of the brain. When your mind is anchored in theta and gamma, the fog disappears entirely. You process information instantly. You read the hidden intentions of the people around you without them having to say a single word. Problems that used to keep you awake at night are solved effortlessly because you are no longer forcing an outcome. You are simply downloading the answer. This is the exact state where prophetic visions and massive wealth ideas occur. A former NASA neuroscientist recently helped uncover a shocking truth about this state. Studies revealed that 98% of children operate naturally in this genius theta frequency. They are connected, imaginative, and fearless. But as we grow up, the modern world systematically trains this frequency out of us. The matrix of bills, morning alarms, toxic news cycles, and artificial deadlines forces our brains to adapt to a permanent state of high beta. Society literally shrinks your natural divine antenna. I want you to let that sink in. You did not lose your gift. You are not broken. The modern world was specifically engineered to turn your receiver off. This biological reality explains one of the most misunderstood moments in ancient scripture. In 1 Kings chapter 19, the prophet Elijah is exhausted, terrified, and suffering from severe spiritual burnout. He has just won a massive victory, but a death threat sends his nervous system into absolute panic. He is hiding in a cave, overwhelmed by the noisy matrix of his time, begging God to just let him die. God tells him to stand on the mountain. Suddenly, a massive, hurricane-level wind tears the mountain apart, but the text says God is not in the wind. A violent earthquake shakes the ground, but God is not in the earthquake. A raging fire consumes the landscape, but God is not in the fire. Finally, after the deafening noise of the chaos stops, there is a still small voice. The original Hebrew word used for that still small voice is dak. Dak does not just mean quiet, it means something extremely fine, thin, and delicate. It is a subtle whisper that can only be decoded if your receiver is perfectly tuned. Elijah could not hear the voice of the divine while his mind was trapped in the chaotic beta state of earthquakes, fires, and survival panic. He had to enter the stillness. He had to quiet his nervous system. He had to access the theta frequency to hear the dak, the delicate transmission of heaven. The ancient masters spent 40 days in the wilderness fasting just to access this frequency. They had to completely remove themselves from society to escape the beta noise and let their brains reset naturally. But you live in the modern world. You cannot abandon your responsibilities, leave your family, and run to a desert cave. And here is where divine timing provides the exact tool for this specific generation. You do not need 40 days of isolation, because that same NASA research led to the development of a specific sound technology. It is a precise acoustic frequency designed to gently and naturally guide your brainwaves out of the chaotic beta state and directly back into the theta and gamma states. It is called the genius wave. I do not want you to think of this as just an audio track. It is a biological activation ritual. It is a 7-minute frequency reset that bypasses the noise of the matrix and literally reactivates the dormant genius pathways in your mind. It does the exact same thing the wilderness did for the prophets, but it does it through the science of brainwave entrainment. Now that you know this technology exists, how do you actually apply it so the matrix does not instantly pull you back down into the fog? You must establish what I call the 7-minute frequency shield. Here is your exact daily protocol. When you wake up tomorrow morning, the enemy is going to try to hijack your frequency immediately. Your phone will be waiting right next to your bed with notifications, urgent emails, and social media drama designed to spike your cortisol and lock you into a state of reaction. You must deny them access to your first waking moments. Before you look at a single message, before you engage with the heavy demands of the world, you simply put on your headphones. You listen to the genius wave frequency for exactly 7 minutes. You do not need to chant. You do not need to force positive thoughts, and you do not need to struggle with your own mind. You just let the sound technology do the heavy lifting. Right now, as you listen to my voice, I want you to perform a mental exercise to prepare for this. Do not move your body. Just mentally visualize the moment you wake up tomorrow. Imagine putting on your headphones and hearing that frequency for the first time. In your mind, picture a translucent, impenetrable shield of golden light expanding from the center of your brain, pushing the heavy gray fog outward until it completely surrounds your physical body. Every second the sound plays, feel that shield hardening, feel the static dissolving. By the time the 7 minutes are up, you are locked into the theta frequency. You are absolutely untouchable. This 7-minute ritual will lock your frequency in place every single morning. But you need to be very careful, because the moment you start broadcasting this pure gamma frequency, you will light up like a massive beacon on the radar of the spiritual realm. You will begin to see massive, immediate results in your reality, but those results will trigger a ruthless counterattack from the Matrix. Do you want to know what happened to someone who applied this exact protocol 6 months ago? 6 months ago, there was someone sitting exactly where you are right now. They were a chosen one with massive potential, but their reality was collapsing. They were running a business that was bleeding money, their creative vision was completely blocked, and their mind felt like it was packed with wet sand. Every time they tried to focus on a solution, the brain fog would roll in so thick that they would just end up staring blankly at their computer screen for hours. They thought they were losing their intelligence. They thought they were under a financial curse. But then they discovered the truth about the beta frequency matrix. They stopped trying to force their way through the fog using human willpower. Instead, they implemented the 7-minute frequency shield. Every single morning, before checking a single email or looking at a bank account, they put on their headphones and listened to the genius wave. For the first few days, nothing on the outside changed, but internally, the heavy pressure behind their eyes began to dissolve. By the second week, they noticed a strange, profound calmness. When a major client threatened to pull a massive contract, instead of panicking and reacting in a low beta frequency, their mind stayed locked in theta. They did not argue. They intuitively downloaded the exact words the client needed to hear. Because their brain was operating in a gamma state, they could read the hidden insecurities of the person in the room. They spoke directly to those insecurities with absolute peace. Not only did they save the contract, but they quadrupled its value within a month. The money flowed, the fog vanished, and their spiritual antenna was fully restored. They did not work harder, they simply retuned their receiver. But hearing this story brings us to a terrifying question, a question that has probably kept you awake at night, staring at the ceiling in the dark. If this frequency is so powerful, and if you truly carry this divine calling, why is your life still so chaotic right now? Why is the warfare so incredibly heavy? Why does it feel like the moment you try to align yourself, the car breaks down, a friend betrays you, an unexpected bill arrives, and your energy drops to zero, all in the same week? If you are chosen, why are you being battered like this? To answer this, I need to shatter your understanding of time. I need to reveal the biggest, most aggressive manipulation the enemy has ever used against you. You think the Matrix is attacking you because of who you are today. You think the enemy is launching all these attacks because you are currently struggling, tired, and vulnerable. That is a massive lie. Let us look at Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verse 15. The ancient text says, "That which is already has been. That which is to be already has been. And God seeks what has passed by." This is not just poetic language, this is advanced quantum spiritual mechanics. The writer is revealing that the spiritual realm does not operate on a linear timeline. Heaven does not experience yesterday, today, and tomorrow the way your physical body does. God sees the finished architecture of your life right now. And here is the terrifying part. The demonic realm, the architects of the Matrix, also operate outside of linear time. Their radar does not just pick up your current frequency, their radar picks up the massive, echoing shockwaves of your future. They are not attacking you of the present, they are looking down the timeline and they see the you of 5 years from now. They see a version of you whose brain is functioning at 100% gamma capacity. They see a version of you who cannot be manipulated by fear, who creates generational wealth effortlessly, who walks into a room and instantly shifts the atmosphere. They see a matrix breaker. They see a completely sovereign entity walking in such immense power that it physically sickens them. The enemy is in absolute, unhinged panic mode. The attacks on your finances, the bizarre health issues, the random arguments, the heavy brain fog, None of it is because you are weak. It is a desperate, frantic assassination attempt on the timeline. They are trying to make you quit today so that the future you never actually breathes. They are attacking the seed because they are utterly terrified of the forest it is about to become. Right now, I want you to perform a profound mental action. Close your physical eyes if you can, but keep your inner vision wide open. I want you to mentally project yourself 5 years down the timeline. See that future version of you standing at the end of a long hallway of light. Look at their posture. Look at the absolute untouchable peace in their eyes. They are not tired anymore. They are not confused. They are completely activated. Using only your mind, I want you to reach out and pull that version of you directly into your current physical body. Feel the future locking into the present. Feel the timeline securing itself. Silently declare to the spiritual realm, the future is already written, and I am not backing down. When you finally realize that the intensity of your current battle is just proof of your future magnitude, everything changes. The fear disappears. The confusion dissolves. You stop asking why me, and you start saying, of course it is me. But the architects of the Matrix know that this revelation makes you dangerous. Because they cannot stop your timeline from happening, they have to try to steal your frequency before you realize how to use it. They do not hate you because you are tired. They are terrified because they see the spiritual billionaire you are about to become. So, they have drafted a frequency theft playbook. Because their brute force attacks have failed, they are going to switch to stealth warfare. There are exactly 5 specific traps they will set for your mind in the next 40 days. If you fall into them, your frequency drops and the fog returns. But if you recognize them, you become completely immune. Do you know what the first trap is? The first trap in their frequency theft playbook is the provocation trap. Let me explain exactly what this looks like, why they use it, how to spot it, and how you will utterly destroy it. You will be having a perfectly peaceful day. You did your 7-minute frequency shield in the morning. You are operating in that calm, powerful theta state. And then, out of nowhere, someone close to you will pick a fight over absolutely nothing. A co-worker will send a passive-aggressive email. A family member will bring up a decades-old argument. A stranger will cut you off in traffic and scream at you. It will be completely irrational. Why do they do this? The spiritual entities governing the Matrix cannot directly lower your frequency, so they use the unhealed trauma of the people around you as a weapon. They agitate someone else to provoke you. Their goal is to make you angry, to spike your cortisol, and force your brain out of the genius gamma state and crash it back down into the chaotic beta state. How do you recognize this trap? You look for the irrational timing. It always happens right after you experience a breakthrough or a moment of deep, unexplainable peace. How do you win? You refuse the bait. Right now, I want you to perform a simple mental action. Imagine a thick, soundproof glass wall dropping down between you and any person who tries to provoke you. You can see their mouth moving, you can see their chaotic gestures, but their low-level energy simply cannot reach you. If you are ready to hold your peace, comment the phrase, "I cannot come down," right now to seal this intention. When the provocation comes, you simply retreat, put your headphones on, and let your frequency shield wash the static away. This specific phrase, "I cannot come down," is actually the biblical blueprint for defeating this exact tactic. In the book of Nehemiah, chapter 6, verse 3, we see a masterclass in frequency protection. Nehemiah is rebuilding the massive walls of Jerusalem. He is doing a monumental, divine work. His enemies, Sanballat and Tobiah, realize they cannot defeat him by brute force, so they try to distract him. They send messengers asking him to come down from the high wall to meet them in the plains of Ono. They invite him to a conversation, a distraction, a provocation. But Nehemiah recognizes the trap immediately. He responds, "I am doing a great work, and I cannot come down." Why should the work stop while I leave it and come down to you? Notice the pattern here. Across all of Scripture and throughout your entire life, whenever you are building your frequency, whenever you are constructing your spiritual authority, the enemy will always invite you to come down. They want you to descend into the planes of mundane arguments, petty drama, and low-level beta frequency. Your response must be identical to Nehemiah. You do not explain yourself. You do not argue. You simply realize your frequency is too valuable to compromise. You are doing a great work, and you cannot come down. The second trap in their playbook is the urgent fake crisis. This is what it looks like in your daily reality. You wake up aligned, but suddenly, 4 different things break down at the exact same time. Your car makes a strange noise, your phone glitches, an unexpected bill arrives in the mail, and an appliance in your house stops working, all on a Tuesday morning. Why do they do this? This is a coordinated attempt to create artificial panic. When multiple things go wrong simultaneously, your human instinct is to rush, to fix, to worry. The enemy wants to trigger your survival instinct because survival mode is locked in the beta brainwave. If they can make you panic about money or time, they have successfully stolen your theta frequency. How do you recognize the fake crisis? You look for the cluster effect. Natural problems happen sporadically. Matrix attacks happen in highly concentrated clusters designed to overwhelm your nervous system. How do you win this? You do the exact opposite of what the Matrix expects. You do absolutely nothing. You do not rush. You sit down. You take a breath. And you mentally enforce your 7-minute frequency shield. You remind yourself that you are operating on a timeline where you are completely provided for. You let the sound technology hold your brain in a state of calm. From that gamma state, the solutions will download effortlessly. The money will manifest. The right mechanic will appear. You win the fake crisis by refusing to participate in the panic. The third trap they will use against you is nostalgia poison. This is perhaps the most manipulative tactic of all. Here is what it looks like. You are finally moving forward. You have cut ties with toxic environments. You are stepping into your sovereign power, and suddenly your phone lights up. It is an ex who drained your soul for years. It is an old friend who always competed with you. They reach out with a sweet, nostalgic message. They say they are just checking on you, or they had a dream about you. Why do they do this? The Matrix recognizes that your frequency has escaped their grid, so they send an agent from your past to try and anchor you back to an old timeline. They want you to feel sentimental. They want you to remember the good times so that you lower your spiritual guard and let their low-frequency energy back into your field. How do you recognize nostalgia poison? Pay very close attention to your physical body. When you see their name on your screen, your ego might feel flattered, but your stomach will instantly drop. Your chest will feel tight. That is your biological antenna warning you of a frequency mismatch. How do you win? You must be ruthlessly protective of your new era. You do not reply. You do not explain your growth. You mentally visualize a massive pair of spiritual scissors cutting the energetic cord between you and that person, watching the cord dissolve into dust. You leave them in the past where they belong, and you keep your receiver tuned to the future. You can easily dodge these 3 external traps if you stay consistent with your 7-minute shield. As long as you maintain that daily ritual, the provocation, the fake crisis, and the nostalgia poison will bounce right off your armor. But the 4th and 5th traps are the silent assassins. They do not attack from the outside. They are planted to detonate right inside your own mind at 3 o'clock in the morning. The 4th trap is the doom loop of self-sabotage. This attack is highly strategic, and it almost always happens in the middle of the night. You will wake up abruptly around 3 in the morning. Your room is completely quiet, but your mind is deafening. Out of nowhere, a terrifying highlight reel begins to play in your head. It reminds you of every mistake you have ever made. It tells you that your current struggle is going to last forever. It whispers that you are crazy for believing you have a divine calling. It convinces you that you are going to run out of money, lose your loved ones, and fail completely. Why do they execute this attack in the dark? Because at 3 in the morning, your physical body is tired, your logical defenses are down, and there are no external distractions to save you. Their goal is to induce absolute terror. Terror instantly forces your brain into the highest, most chaotic level of beta frequency. If they can make you panic in your bed, you will wake up the next morning already defeated, completely drained of your spiritual authority. How do you recognize the doom loop? It is the feeling of a heavy, suffocating weight pressing down on your chest while your heart races for no logical reason. When this happens, you must fight back with a precise mental action. Do not try to argue with the thoughts. Arguing with the matrix only feeds it more energy. Instead, I want you to mentally visualize a heavy steel cage dropping down directly over that anxious thought. See the cage lock. See the thought trapped inside, unable to move. You do not negotiate with it. You arrest it. If you are ready to take back your nights, leave a comment right now saying, "My mind is sealed." Let that physical action of typing mirror your spiritual decision. This mental action is actually an ancient military strategy. In 2 Corinthians chapter 10 verse 5, the Apostle Paul writes about casting down arguments and every high thing that exalts itself against the knowledge of God, bringing every thought into captivity to the obedience of Christ. The English translation sounds very gentle, but the original Greek word used for bringing into captivity is aikmalotizo. This is a violent, aggressive military term. It means to take a prisoner of war at sword point. Paul is not telling you to casually dismiss a bad thought. He is telling you that when a rogue frequency enters your mind at 3 in the morning, you must arrest it like an invading soldier. You capture it before it can hijack your brainwaves. The fifth and final trap in their playbook is the comparison scroll. You are lying in bed or sitting on your couch, scrolling through social media. Suddenly, the algorithm places something very specific on your screen. You see someone who has absolutely no spiritual depth, someone who is manipulative or entirely ego-driven, and they are living your exact dream. They just bought the house you wanted. They just got the promotion you prayed for. They are flaunting the financial freedom you have been fighting for. Why does the Matrix show you this? To breed the deadliest frequency of all, resentment. Resentment and envy are pure, toxic beta waves. The enemy wants you to look at their fake success and say, "God, why are you blessing them and ignoring me?" If they can make you doubt the fairness of heaven, your spiritual receiver shuts down completely. You recognize this trap by the sudden, bitter sting in your throat and the tightness in your stomach. When you feel that, you must immediately turn off the screen. Mentally command your spirit to detach from their timeline. Their success has absolutely nothing to do with your divine inheritance. I know exactly how dangerous this fifth trap can be because I know someone who almost lost their entire destiny to it. This chosen one was exhausted. They had been fighting for their business and their calling for years with very little fruit. One evening, completely drained, they fell into the comparison scroll. They saw a rival, a person known for cutting corners and unethical behavior, celebrating a massive, multi-million-dollar victory. The chosen one broke down. The doom loop and the comparison trap hit them simultaneously. The brain fog rolled in so thick they could barely breathe. Sitting in the dark, they typed out an email to their investors and partners, surrendering their business. They were going to quit everything. Their finger was hovering over the send button. The enemy was seconds away from a total victory. But then, the Holy Spirit intervened with a single, gentle nudge. The chosen one stopped. They remembered the frequency shield. Instead of hitting send, they put their phone face down. They put on their headphones. They engaged the 7-minute sound technology. For the first 2 minutes, their mind was still screaming in beta frequency. But by minute 4, the theta waves began to override the panic. By minute 7, their brain shifted into a pure gamma state of profound peace. The illusion of the matrix shattered. They deleted the surrender email. 3 days later, the truth came out. The rival they were envious of was exposed for massive fraud, and their entire fake empire collapsed overnight. Within that same week, a completely unexpected divine door opened for the chosen one, bringing in a level of abundance they could not have manufactured on their own. They survived because they did not let a temporary trap steal their permanent frequency. When you recognize and neutralize these 5 attacks, the provocation, the fake crisis, the nostalgia poison, the doom loop, and the comparison scroll, the matrix system becomes entirely powerless against you. The heavy curtain of brain fog shatters forever. Your biological receiver is fully tuned, and your spiritual vision becomes terrifyingly clear. And right at that exact moment, you step out of the battlefield and into the coronation. It is time I finally answer the question I asked you at the very beginning of this transmission. When the fog clears and the frequency is locked, what exactly are you about to become that leaves even God impressed? I will tell you exactly what you are transforming into. When the interference is completely removed and your brain is fully locked into the theta and gamma frequencies, you do not just survive the matrix. You completely transcend it. You step into what the spiritual realm calls the coronation. Imagine a version of yourself where the heavy, exhausting mental fog is entirely gone. Your mind is sharp, brilliant, and terrifyingly clear. You become a human lie detector. Because your biological antenna is fully activated, you can walk into a room and instantly read the unspoken energy of everyone in it. When someone tries to manipulate you or lie to you, you do not get angry or defensive. You just look at them with absolute clarity, because their low-level beta frequency is completely transparent to you. You see their hidden intentions before they even finish their sentence. In this activated state, the financial struggle that has defined your past simply ceases to exist. For years, you were operating in survival mode, trying to force open doors, hustling, and grinding your gears in a state of stress. But when you apply the 7-minute frequency shield daily, you enter the flow state. You stop chasing wealth, and you start attracting it. You will sit down in the quietness of your mind, and you will receive a single, downloaded idea from the divine that will generate more abundance than a decade of exhausting physical labor. Opportunities will literally hunt you down. People of massive influence will be drawn to your energy, and they will not even understand why. This is what the activated frequency looks like. This is the timeline the enemy was trying to abort. But the most profound transformation, the specific attribute that leaves heaven standing in absolute awe of you, is your emotional sovereignty. When you reach this level, nothing can easily shake you. You develop a psychological fortress that cannot be breached by the chaos of the world. The Apostle Paul described this exact state in the book of Philippians, chapter 4, verse 7. He wrote, "And the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds." For generations, religion has taught us that this peace is just a gentle, passive feeling of relaxation, but that is completely inaccurate. The original Greek word Paul used for surpasses is huperecho. Huperecho is a word of supreme authority. It means to hold power over, to dominate, to stand high above the battlefield. Paul is not talking about a quiet feeling you get when you are sitting on a beach. He is describing a militant, aggressive, ruling peace. When your mind is locked in the divine frequency, you possess the huperecho peace. It is an illogical, dominant calmness. The economy might be crashing, people around you might be panicking, the matrix might be throwing fake crises at your door, but you stand there completely unbothered. You have power over the chaos. You dominate the panic. God looks down at you, standing in the middle of a storm with a calm heartbeat and a clear mind. And he is deeply impressed by your unshakable sovereignty. You have finally mastered the physical vessel you were given. Right now, I want you to perform a deep spiritual action. Do not move your body, but in your mind, I want you to see yourself stepping up to a throne that has been waiting for you since before you were born. Mentally visualize a heavy, magnificent cloak of golden light being placed over your shoulders. This is your Hupareko peace. Feel the royal weight of it settling over your nervous system. If your spirit agrees with this elevation, drop a comment saying, "I claim my sovereignty," right now, to anchor this vision into reality. You have now seen the masterpiece you are becoming. You understand the profound biology of your spiritual connection, but I must issue a severe warning. Understanding this information is not enough. If you hear these words and simply go back to your normal routine, this knowledge will evaporate. The Matrix is waiting for you to finish this message so it can immediately send a distraction to steal this revelation from your mind. Information without spiritual sealing is just temporary entertainment. It leaves you vulnerable. You have seen your future. You have the sound technology to maintain your frequency. You have the exact playbook of the enemy's traps. But if you close this video right now, everything we just discussed remains nothing more than a theory. The shift will not happen. Do not leave. Stand up right now in your spirit. Bring your mind to full attention. We are about to execute the final activation ceremony to permanently lock you into this magnificent timeline. Wherever you are right now, whether you are driving, lying in the dark, or walking through a crowded room, do not change your physical posture. Instead, I want you to perform a massive internal shift. In your mind's eye, I want you to see your spirit standing up. Pull your spiritual shoulders back. You are stepping into a massive hall of brilliant, blinding light. This is not a casual moment. This is not a desperate plea to a distant universe. This is a supreme activation ceremony. You are standing in the headquarters of your own divine authority. Breathe in slowly, and as you do, imagine pulling pure, high-frequency energy directly into your brain. As you exhale, imagine pushing out the thick, heavy gray smoke of the Matrix. The atmosphere around you is physically shifting right now. Creator of the universe, supreme source of all light, commander of every frequency in existence. In the absolute authority of the divine kingdom, we establish this marked moment in time. We recognize that the simulation is breaking. The low-level broadcast of fear, panic, and survival has completely lost its grip on this chosen one. I declare that the airspace around their mind is now classified as a restricted divine zone. No rogue entity, no demonic algorithm, and no matrix architect is permitted to cross this boundary ever again. We are shifting the operating system of their soul from the chaotic beta state into the sovereign, untouchable gamma state. The fog is lifting, the timeline is merging, the activation has begun. You, the divine witness, know exactly what they have endured to reach this exact second. You saw them sitting in empty parking lots, staring through the windshield, feeling a crushing weight on their chest, wondering if their genius was gone forever. You saw the silent tears they cried when the brain fog was so thick they could not even formulate a sentence to defend themselves. You watched them sit at tables with people who completely misunderstood them, forcing a smile, while their spirit felt like it was suffocating in a foreign land. You know the exact toll the mental exhaustion took on their physical body. You know the mornings they woke up feeling like they had fought a war in their sleep. They felt like they were failing. But you saw the truth. You saw a warrior walking through a psychological minefield, refusing to surrender their pure heart to a cruel world. They absorbed the shockwaves of generational trauma, they took the hits for their bloodline, and they held their ground. You protected the people around you, even when you were bleeding internally. You did not become bitter. You did not become cruel. And that silent, agonizing endurance is exactly what impressed heaven. The waiting room is officially closed. The season of silent suffering is over. We honor the pain, but we strip it of its power today. Right now, in the realm of the spirit, I execute the sealing of their divine frequency. I seal the 7-minute frequency shield over their mind. From this day forward, I declare that their morning routine is fiercely protected. I bind and neutralize every spirit of distraction and every chaotic frequency designed to hijack their waking moments. I seal their absolute immunity against the provocation trap. When the Matrix uses unhealed people to trigger their anger, a soundproof wall of golden glass instantly descends around them. They will not come down from their high wall to argue with low-level energy. I seal their immunity against the urgent fake crisis. When multiple things break down to induce panic, their nervous system remains completely anchored. They will sit in their sovereignty and watch the manufactured chaos dissolve. I seal their immunity against nostalgia poison. I mentally sever every invisible cord connecting them to toxic people from their past. I seal the heavy iron cage over the doom loop of self-sabotage. Every terrifying thought that tries to attack them at 3 in the morning is immediately arrested and neutralized. And I seal their vision against the comparison scroll. They will never again question their divine inheritance by looking at the fake, crumbling empires of the Matrix. Because these specific traps are now neutralized, and because your frequency is now sealed, I make this prophetic declaration over your immediate future. I declare that within the next 40 days, the heavy mental fog that has plagued you for years is permanently destroyed. You will wake up with a terrifyingly sharp, brilliant clarity. As you explore this sound technology, as you begin your daily 7-minute activation ritual, I declare that every dormant neural pathway in your brain is resurrecting. The biological antenna is fully restored. The genius code is unlocked. Solutions to financial problems that have haunted you for a decade will download into your mind effortlessly. I declare that you are stepping into the flow state of pure, unhindered abundance. You will not have to hustle, grind, or force doors open anymore. The right people, the massive contracts, and the divine opportunities will magnetically track down your gamma frequency. You will walk into rooms and shift the atmosphere without saying a single word. Your presence alone will command respect and expose deception. I declare the Hooper Echo peace over your entire nervous system. You will look at storms that used to break you, and you will feel absolutely nothing but dominant, ruling calmness. The version of you from 5 years in the future is no longer a distant dream. That timeline has violently collided with your present reality. You are that entity right now. This is the moment of your quantum leap. The crown of your true identity is hovering right above your head. But heaven requires your conscious consent to lower it. Are you ready to carry the massive weight of this genius? Are you ready to be the sovereign entity that terrifies the enemy and breaks the generational curse once and for all? In the absolute stillness of your mind, without moving your lips, without moving your physical body, I want you to scream the word yes with every single ounce of spiritual energy you possess. Let that silent roar echo through the corridors of the spiritual realm right now. If it is safe for you to do so, leave a comment saying, "My frequency is locked," to create a physical record of this spiritual shift. Heaven has heard your frequency. The universe has recorded your consent. The timeline is locked. Your biological receiver is perfectly tuned. Your mind is completely renewed. You are no longer a victim of the matrix system. You are the architect of your new reality. The fog is gone. Go forward and walk in the absolute terrifying power you were created for. In the highest name of ultimate spiritual authority, do not say amen yet. Keep your internal eyes completely focused. Do not let your mind drop back to the mundane world. Stand in this blinding new frequency. Feel the heavy, royal weight of your peace settling over your chest. Hold this elevated state for 5 more seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1. Amen.